What's happening? Alright, looks like it's failed, but that's okay. Clips. Bit of a false start there, bear with me. Are we live? Says we're live.
Stop talking about it and do something!
Suck my dick earth with that bullshit.
Really?
It's like a gentle hate.
Do we have another benevolent star here? Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Are you benevolent and your friend?
My name is Logan Paul, and I think I'm coming out of the flat earth closet.
This is so fucking depressing. I can't be a flat earth person.
You can't have it both ways. You can't have a flat earth and things making sense.
Good evening, YouTube, and welcome to Jen's Flat Earth Sunday Roast. Yes, we are back with the show they don't want you to see. In tonight's show, we bring you the very best from the last week in Conspiritardia, including QAnon makes it to the US House of Representatives, Sleeping Warrior is taken seriously, and a couple of conspiracies you may not have come across before. All this and more in tonight's Flat Pack Show. I'm your host, Jem, and joining me, as always, are just some of the cool kids from the Debate, Flat Earth and More Discord server. They are Kosho and RSC. Good evening, gentlemen.
Good evening. I hope that you don't. I hope you don't expect us to take Anthony Riley seriously.
No.
Oh, you
Not
will.
at
You
all.
will do that, Kosho.
Hopefully Scott is going to be joining us later. Chemo said he might be joining us later. I know everyone's a big fan of Chemo, so that will be great, right?
Absolutely.
Oh, I haven't done what I'm supposed to do, have I? Everyone's going to be saying, it's blank. Oh, shite. Studio mode.
Shooting blanks.
I think we should be there now. Yeah, there we are. It's working now. Right, should we get on with it? I guess we should.
Unless you have news you want to share with us.
Not really. Been a pretty uneventful week for me.
Absolutely. I'm always disappointed when there's nothing about the king and the. I'm always excited to see, like, I just want him to take over already.
I guess my news is that my city has been officially voted the most infectious city in Britain. So that's all good. Our infection rate is higher than anyone else's, apparently.
Is that like the rate at which you guys are getting cases?
Yeah.
New cases, I suppose? Okay.
Yeah, it doesn't really make sense anymore, does it? Because they say, look how many cases we're getting compared to what we were at the start. But they're testing hundreds of thousands of people a day now. So they're bound to find a lot more cases, aren't they?
What's more important is the number of
really...
people who get hospitalized.
Right.
Fair enough.
Which is about...
Well, I know you guys are also...
About 70 people a day across the UK, I think, on average, at the moment.
It's not as bad. It's not as bad as it sounds. I feel like there's more of that in America. But I feel like you guys, because you guys have been wanting to go to the bars and stuff, and so you have like these relaxed rules where like you can go out and drink, go to the bar, but only until 10 o'clock or something.
Right. Yeah. Well,
which absolutely
ridiculous. And of course, I think what's really happened is, you know, my city is a big university city. We've got two very big universities. with thousands of students in them, and they let all those students go and go in their halls of residence where they're all living on top of each other, which was just ridiculous. And most of them are going to be, well, they'll be doing it online anyway, but they would have been without COVID. My daughter was at university for 3 years. She only ever went to 3 lectures. All the rest of it she did online.
Wow.
How much money did you spend on that, Jen?
Wow.
£27,000.
Oh my gosh. For some
I mean,
YouTube
to be honest,
courses?
though,
And some.
yeah, it's really all that's needed, to be honest.
Yeah, so I think they were profiteering. I think they wanted those students there because they rinsed them the crazy money for staying in these halls of residence. I mean, they really pay through the nose for it.
Yeah, I heard the teachers get. I guess they would have gotten paid a little bit less. I'm not sure they got the same pay, but I heard it's more work for them to do the like remote classes type of stuff because they have to kind of remake their entire class, and I'm not sure what all goes into it, but I heard that was a big problem. Is that it's like almost double the work for them to do a remote school instead of have them come to campus.
Right. Well, I know. I mean, what my daughter told me was that if she went to a lecture, she was in this huge lecture theatre for 200 people. There was no interaction between her and the lecturer at all. The lecturer just read through the PowerPoint, and the PowerPoint was online, and my daughter could just read through it herself. She did.
Yeah, that's most classes.
Yeah. Thank you for the super chat, Toady UK, who said, I had COVID, was ill, and survived. Virus do exist. I guess that would be viri do exist. And now Nick and Bass have got COVID because they're next to him in the chat, and they did not maintain social distancing. So,
Mazel tov to everybody.
So sorry about that, guys. You have to now self-isolate for 14 days, I think.
But is the UK still paying people money to isolate at home?
I think that happens if they get you on the track and trace app thing. I think I'm right in saying that. I think
Oh yeah, that's right. You were talking about that. That actually. I mean, I'm being honest with you. Like, I would probably do that. Although it seems like it's an infringement on your personal, your privacy a little bit. But at the same time, it's kind of worth it if you do end up having to, because it seems like what they did in Israel was they would point you out if they think that you might have been in contact with somebody who had it. So it's like their way of tracking people who probably have a good chance of having it, and then they're going to kind of order you or advise you to stay at home. And then if you were to do that, you'd basically get paid, right? So it seems like advantageous.
Yeah. I should get
Chemo and Curved.
I should get it and go down to the. Welcome, guys. Glad you could join us.
Chemo.
Hello, everyone.
Hey,
hi.
good.
Hi,
Hey,
good evening.
welcome, Chemo. I was thinking, I could get the app and just go to the supermarket down the road, which is just must have 1,000 students go through it every day. And I could just hang around there, and sooner or later, I'm going to get infected.
Yeah, but I would purposely get. Okay, so here's something you could do: is get a burner phone. By the way, I shouldn't be saying this online. You get a burner phone, okay? You have the burner phone hang out down there. That's the phone that's connected online. You don't actually got to get COVID. They just got to think that you have been around the vicinity, and then your phone has to stay at home. You got to stay home.
I'll get a burner phone and just stick it behind the bread or something in the supermarket for a day.
Yeah.
It's bound to come into contact with somebody, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly.
All right, let's get on with this show, else we'll just talk about this silliness all day, right? What's first? Where's me list? First tonight, an old favourite of our show. Here's a bit of Rene being extra creepy.
Hey, how you doing, brothers and sisters? Just making Flat Earth great again. That's right. We have another beautiful day here on another chance to make our Flat Earth great again. That's the bottom line, you know. This is the only world we have. They're not gonna tell you. They're not gonna tell you that you live on a beautiful stationary flat Earth. But I'm very happy that Donald the Great conquered, destroyed, killed coronavirus in 3 days. He left, and in 3 days he came back like a warrior, killing coronavirus. You know, that's as simple as that. You know, we are superhumans, all of us, all humanity. So, see, what happened is it's all about your pH. If this is an emergency, like Donald the Great just had the emergency, you know, just take the MMS protocol of Jim Humble. That's it. That helps you balance your pH, kills all the anaerobic pathogens in your body, and bada bing, bada boom, you're a new person. We have a lot of closet flat earthers like Donald the Great. Donald the Great knows this pandemic is actually an scandemic. And Donald the Great knows that we're not in a spinning ball. And Donald the Great knows that we never went to the moon. And that's why when Donald the Great made the announcement that we're going back to the moon, NASA didn't get excited at all. They didn't say, okay, yeah, you know, we're going to the moon. Let's do it. Well, we got thousands of rockets. We're sending thousands of rockets all the time. You know, I call those rockets to nowhere. They don't really go to anywhere. And $5 that I use for Nathan Oakley, the best collaborationist on this beautiful stationary flat Earth. Oh yeah, Nathan Oakley, you should guys May Flat Earth, American Gray. Hey, Hemi Power, how you doing, brother?
A short clip there of our old mate Rene. It's nice to see him not screaming at 5G engineers, I think. So, what do you reckon, Chemo? Donald Trump, is he a closet flat earther?
Yeah, I mean, I think all the elite, the 1%, yeah, I think they're fully aware of what's going on, and they're just part of the deception. So yeah, absolutely, sure.
You think Elon Musk is a flat earther?
Yeah, all of them. Every single one of the guys that are in the 1% know the truth. Yeah, for sure, without any doubt.
What do you think about that King John III, the guy who's been Jem's been on? Jem has had him on his show, and he's kind of like a fringe. It seems like he's into some conspiracy theories. I don't think he said anything about the flat Earth, but he seems very flat Earth adjacent. But what do you think about him? Do you think he might be a flat earther?
I haven't seen. What was he on here, or so? Who is he?
He's been on here quite a bit. Yeah, he might be your new king.
He's the man who's claiming to be the new king of England.
Oh, okay, no, I've not seen that, no.
Oh dear, you're not a proper conspiracy theorist at all, are you, Chemo? You should know about these things.
Well, almost more English than you, man.
Is that really a conspiracy?
Yeah.
Well, the sounds of it, I mean, I don't know.
He had a bit of a following for a little while. I think that's... I suspect that's happened once or twice before, where he builds up a little bit of a following and then people go, hold on a minute.
Maybe, yeah.
You said you were about to move into Buckingham Palace, and you haven't.
Yeah.
So,
no, I mean, I think that's it's not the kind of conspiracy that. I mean, what kind of conspiracy would that be?
It's the two Jesus conspiracy.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. There's two Jesuses as well. Yeah, I forgot about that major bit. Yeah, you won't like that part of it, will you?
No, I mean, that's just.
One of them was a winemaker. Hence
and one of them was a fisherman.
Yeah, hence the story of turning water into wine. Anyway, I digress. No one will know what we're talking about unless they saw last week and the week before's show. So,
which were both amazing, by the way.
Oh, thank you very much. Well, actually, we didn't have one last week, did we? I mean, the week before that even. So, what do you reckon, Verbal? pH. All you need to do is get your pH right and follow the MMS protocol.
I don't even know what the MMS protocol is. They have that posted somewhere
Oh.
about how much you're supposed to buy and how much you're supposed to drink and
I
when.
don't know. I mean, they tend to get banned, don't they? Those things. I know when I've seen them do it, they only use like 3 drops or something, and they only make it's only a tiny amount that they make.
Right, and the dose makes the poison, so if you
Right.
don't take enough of the poison, it won't kill you. But it's
Right.
still not good for you, probably.
Well, apparently it removes your intestinal lining. So, I mean, the real horror of it is there are parents who inflict this on young children. Actually, there are whole Facebook groups of it, of people doing this because they think it cures autism or something like that. It's usually autism.
Yeah, unfortunately, there are people who are just super desperate and they can be easily fooled.
Right. It's a great shame.
But
Anyone else got?
I'm wondering if he means urine when he says pH. That would be interesting to follow up on.
So, will you be making Flat Earth great again, Chemo?
Yeah, I mean, I think because of this COVID thing, it's slowed down the activism. But yeah, I mean, hopefully we can raise more awareness and put this COVID nonsense to bed.
Ah. Right. Well, a lot of flatties seem to be on the COVID kick these days, don't they?
Yeah, because it's not because of an actual virus, but because the governments are taking advantage of the situation and trying to take away our rights. So I think that's what we're protesting against.
All right.
Do we know any flat
What did
earthers
you
who have gotten sick, or is it only globe earthers?
Well, there's Jeremy's missus. She got
Globe
sick.
earther.
There's...
Yeah, I mean, I think that's just regular sickness. I mean, are we saying now then that anyone who gets sick or cold now has COVID? I mean, this is just ridiculous. I mean, no one will be allowed to get sick ever again because they'll be in fear that they'll be told they have COVID.
Well, what did you think about Jim's? We were talking about when you and Kurt came on the show. We were talking about this, I guess, a program that you guys have in the UK, where you have like this cell phone app that you can download, and they'll keep track of your whereabouts. And if you're in the vicinity of somebody else who has it, and if they think that you might have contracted it because you were in the vicinity of somebody else who might have gotten it, they'll pay you money to stay at home. Have you heard about this? Would you do that?
I don't know why the muggles just don't get their microchips, and so we can start the resistance and just move forward. I mean, all this nonsense to build people up to get microchipped and vaccinated. We're just going down the long road when that's obviously what we're leading to. So I think we know who the resistance is already, and I think you guys who wear the masks and follow the protocol, you are ready for the microchip. So just accept it, take it, and then we can get back to a normal life.
Hold on a minute. So you don't wear a mask?
No.
What about if you go in a shop?
No.
You just don't wear one?
No.
Okay, fair enough.
I mean, why?
What
Why
about
do
if you're
you
meeting up with
You sound surprised, Jim.
Yeah, because I think it's easier to just wear one, isn't it? It's just easier.
Why? Why do you wear it?
Well, because it's the socially responsible thing to do if you don't want to spread a virus around.
The mask is not going to stop the virus if there is a virus. You do know that, right?
It will reduce the rate of infection.
No. The mask that they use, you can still sneeze, put bacteria through it. They're not surgical masks like they use in the hospital, so you're not stopping anything really. In fact, you're making yourself worse because you're breathing in your own oxygen here, your own carbon dioxide, and you're supposed to breathe out into the fresh air and inhale the fresh air, but you're just recycling old air.
I don't really buy that idea. There isn't really any storage area between the mask and the face for this carbon dioxide to hang around and be rebreathed in, is there?
Yeah, of course there is. If you're
where is it all stored?
Well, you're creating heat, and that heat will create resistance. We know that heat creates pressure, pushing, so it pushes it straight back into your mouth. That's the technical scientific term. We don't have to bore you with that. But the idea is that you're essentially not breathing in fresh air. You're breathing your own you're recycling your old air, which is going to be bad for you. And will give you obviously health problems.
All right. Here's a good question for you then. What is the 17th letter of the alphabet?
G.
Do you want to find out? Watch this video.
Let's do it.
Good patriots in the U.S. military and their global partners asked Trump to run for president so they could take back control of America legitimately without alarming the public. Trump was a good choice, obviously, because he overcame the vote of fraud and won. But he was a patriot, and he was loved and admired by the public. He was not interested in joining the cabal, mainly because they hated America, and he did not agree with them on that point. As soon as he showed interest in taking power, they activated their media assets to viciously turn on him. That's when we saw the sudden hatred emerge. Even when he won, the cabal still had no idea what he was a part of, and the sophisticated plan that was about to unfold against them. Shocked at their loss, they mobilized their full arsenal of intelligence, media, money, and technology to try and take back power. There are people at the top of the DOJ and FBI then put together a plan to flame Trump and have him impeached. This is where we come back to the NSA again. All messages were stored and could be used to expose this plot and prevent Trump's overthrow. An entire book will be written about the first 2 years of Trump's presidency. False flag terror attacks, downed planes, missile alerts, assassination attempts. Here's the point. The world is currently experiencing a dramatic covert war of biblical proportions. Literally the fight for Earth between the forces of good and evil. I can't put it in simpler terms, but I can say it appears the good guys are winning. The cabal had complete control over North Korea. They hijacked the Kim dynasty, took them hostage, and worked to build up a nuclear arsenal to threaten the world. Kim Jong-un suddenly embracing peace was simply because the deep state were beaten and driven out. ISIS was also destroyed in the year following Trump's win. We are all starting to see the pattern now that enough time has passed, that our biggest global concerns are starting to recede, and peace is returning. It is all evidence that the good guys are winning the war. But we are still in the middle. While a lot is improving, it still puzzles many that most of these known criminals are still free, especially the higher-ups like Hillary Clinton, the Bushes, and Obama. That is coming in the next chapter of the story. That's why we have Q. The good guys with control over the NSA began the Q intelligence dissemination program to invoke an online grassroots movement that came to be called The Great Awakening. It started on underground internet channels and then moved to the mainstream. Q has been a fun distraction for those who follow world events and desire truth, but it is about to begin a much more important and necessary phase, keeping the public informed when the deep state war breaks out onto the surface. By this, I mean high-profile arrests. Yes, folks, the criminals I'm referring to are famous politicians, actors, singers, CEOs, and celebrities. People who have earned our trust, respect, and admiration. They have done very bad things that are all fully known and documented, and they will be severely punished. Those of us who have followed Q since the beginning will be here to help you make sense of the coming events. We are among the first to realize that our petty partisan divisions are just trivial distractions, and we are all enslaved by a hidden enemy. We realize that the problem was never capitalism or socialism, Democrat or Republican, black or white, Muslim or Christian. We know it was just very powerful criminals who had too much power. Fellow slaves, it's time to buckle your seatbelt, recognize your true enemy, and embrace a new future that we all owe to the brave patriots who risk their lives to achieve this victory against the greatest force of evil the world has ever known. May God bless America.
America! Orsomo85 in the chat says, imagine being this delusional. Very, very true.
Hi.
That's what I think. That is nuts.
Very
I don't know,
patriotic
I was-
video. How do you feel?
Yeah,
Coach?
exactly. I was like, I don't know. I'm ready to sign up.
Great video though, wasn't it? I did like the video. I like the production. What was? Does
Gotta
anyone
say
know?
something,
What,
though.
does anyone know what that music was? Because it was kind of cool music. I wonder if I'm going to get a copyright strike for it.
Well, no, it probably was. It probably was the same kind of like B-roll music.
Could be.
But it was
yeah.
really good. It was really good, though. I mean, it was. It seems like it's probably been played in a lot of different things, but I think the voice was what struck me as kind of. I don't know. It's just, to me, it sounded like it was almost Donald Trump speaking. I was like, is he like doing like a weird voice where he's like trying to get people to do this? Maybe he's like QAnon actually, like secretly.
Maybe he'd stuck his voice through a voice changer and tried to make it sound as much like Donald Trump as he could. You know.
Yeah, I mean, that could be the case too, because he really was going for a Donald Trump like voice for sure.
That voice didn't remind me of Donald Trump at all.
At the beginning, it did.
I must admit, I didn't get that feeling. But yeah, I think it's sort of another introduction to Q, just in case anybody hadn't heard of it, because I'm kind of going somewhere with this. I've got 3 Q-based clips. So, what do you reckon, Chemo? Good and evil, all that stuff. That's kind of your bag.
Well, Trump is touted to save America. Hopefully, he'll do the right thing and save America, I suppose, right?
Will you join the Q movement right here, right now, Chemo?
We've got the flat Earth to take care of.
Okay,
We're
fair
in
enough.
FE movement.
I can't imagine why any Brits would join the QAnon movement. It's like a U.S.-based movement. So.
Well, we're getting to that later. We've kind of got our own version of it to some extent now. Oh, God, now we've all got COVID.
It's just a cold, you see. That's the thing, you see. That's going to be the problem, you see. Seasonal flu, seasonal colds that people have.
Was it you that sneezed, Chemo?
Yeah.
Right, okay. Have you lost your sense of taste and smell by any chance?
He also wasn't wearing a mask, Jim.
Yeah. Yeah, we know he wasn't wearing a mask.
Godspeed, Q.
Curved, any thoughts on that rather patriotic video?
It makes me want to pledge allegiance to the 17th letter of the alphabet.
Yes. All right.
They are.
Yeah, go ahead.
They are pretty good at that, though. I mean, I've said this before at Flat Earth videos, just because I'd shown some to my friends, and I remember the first ones I'd ever seen. And the most convincing ones weren't the ones that had facts and information. They were like the 30-minute ones that really played that kind of music and really played to your emotions a little bit.
Right.
Like
David Wise.
like really got you.
David Wise, for instance, always does these videos, doesn't he, where he has this sort of, hopeful rising music and no actual speech in them,
Right. Or ODD even. I think
Right,
ODD. Yeah.
Mark Sargent as well. There's a sort of, not quite that, but an element of that in Flat Earth Clues, I think. But
Right, and it's really all conspiracy. All conspiracies. The best one, the ones that are most successful, will do that rather than just give you facts and info and that kind of stuff.
I think what makes this successful, and I think we've seen this with other conspiracies, including to some extent, and quite a large extent with Flat Earth, I think, is it's promising this, this moment of deliverance, when everything's going to change and all the bad stuff's going to go away, and, there'll be world peace and there'll be no pedos and, all debt will be gone. And I think we see the same with the whole Nibiru idea that had this sort of, what do they call it? Eschatology aspect to it. And I think Flat Earth, you don't hear it so much these days, but I think it sort of promised that at one time, that there would be like an F day when flat Earth was declared, and all the bad stuff would be gone. You know, all the lies will stop.
Right. And they're at the spearhead of it. They're at the precipice of it.
Right.
They're at the forefront. They're the ones who are kind of bringing it in almost.
Right.
And that's the same. Like I said, I used to be in the same, because I was in a lot of different conspiracies. I remember exactly that intrigue. You know. So yeah.
I want to make one comment. The whole Q basis and the reason why I think it's grabbing a lot of attention, it sounds exactly like the Sea Org for all those people who followed L. Ron Hubbard back in the 70s. Like, they were enticed by the thought of, you know, working to make the planet a better place. And I think that speaks to a lot of people.
Right. Right.
Wouldn't that be something if this whole Q movement really just was a Scientology subsection? That's my conspiracy.
Right. Well, there is that guy on the last show. We had clips of the guy John Mappin, who's the English guy who lives in the castle, and he's a Scientologist and a Q person. You know, and he regularly recommends Dianetics and stuff. And I know he got Dolly Daydream reading it. We saw that in the clip, I think.
Oh, don't remind me. I'm having daydreams just thinking about her.
Anyway, let's sort of carrying on with this, what we've just been talking about. Here is a QAnon person called, what's she called? McAllister TV. Have a look at this. Quite a long clip, but there's quite a bit to it, so enjoy. Oh, shit, hang on. Making a right cock up. Bloody hell. I'm very sorry about this. Nearly there, nearly there. Right, we're about 8 seconds away or something. Here we go.
Hi. Happy Sunday. I'm getting questions about, are we really watching a movie? Is it still just a movie? And do we really know the ending? And people are having doubts. And well, what about when this happened and that happened? You know, is that supposed to happen? Is that still part of the movie? And yes, we're still watching a movie. And you're going to love the ending. The big clue was when Trump went around in 2017 with all the information that the NSA collected. And he approached all the leaders and he said, capitulate, or you're going to be publicly humiliated and executed. So they all capitulated. Let's see, Obama and Michael, they were arrested in 2017, and they were going to help Trump, and Obama reneged, and he was executed. So that's how you know that they have to stay in their roles and help him, or else they will be executed. There was just things along the way that people messaged me, like when Hillary, she didn't have to go to court on September 9th, people were up in arms around that. I said, don't worry about it. She's on ice in Greenland. Doesn't matter. She's gone. It's good. It was just for optics. The whole thing was just for optics. I don't even think Trump said anything about it. This is all for optics. What you're seeing is just optics. The whole thing. The body doubles that you saw on my posts the other day. Look how outrageous they were. That's Trump control. That's his team just picking outrageous body doubles to try and wake up the MK Ultra sleeping mass. That they're still mind controlled from the MSM, and so they're picking like outrageous body doubles so that they finally scratch their head and say, wow, that doesn't look like so and so. That's all Trump controlled. We're good. Enjoy the movie as it unfolds. I'm just so grateful that I'm aware and awake through this, because this is epic, historical time in humanity, and this is a once in a lifetime thing. You'll never see this again. I don't even know if anybody will ever see this again. Generations to come. It's just amazing. And Trump is a genius. He's always 15 steps ahead of everyone. I'm not sure what happened to Trudeau. He capitulated, but then he ends up with a bracelet or an anklet on in March. So he must have went off track because he's been using a body double. He's gone. I don't know where he is. He could be in Gitmo. I don't know. But his role is done. I guess he reneged. That's the only thing I can think of. But this is all going to be exposed in 2021. We're watching a movie. I swear to you, just anything that happens, there's a lot of people who still adore the Obamas. Just the other day, they got voted like the most loved couple. Really. So just imagine when they find out the crimes that they have done in detail. And this is all going to be exposed, through their recorded confessions. They've already done recorded 3-day tribunals, so they're going to be able to see that. We're going to be able to see that. So it's all going to be exposed, but they have to be somewhat awake so that these devoted, adoring fans won't hurt themselves. There's going to be older people that could have heart failure or a heart attack. There's going to be people so devoted that they could commit suicide. There's going to be people that adore the Obama so much that they could start riots that will look like the riots that we're seeing right now, look like Sesame Street. So they have to be awake, and that's why I post so much, and that's why others post so much, because we have a job to do, is to wake these people up. No matter how rude they are when they come on our page, they're still our brothers and sisters, and we want them to come with us. Where we go one, we go all, remember? They all capitulate. When you take down the Vatican and Saudi and the royals, you've won. And then, to top it all off, he took down the Federal Reserve and the 13 Phoenician families. Good morning. It's been a beat. I haven't done a video in a long time because I had really nothing to say. But now I do. I am doing this video to apologize. I'm human, so keep that in mind. I made a big mistake, and you guys deserve an apology. The HS Retoucher Twitter account is not JFK Jr., and I'm really, really sorry. I don't like to deceive or spread disinformation. I'm here to, I research so much to get the truth out, and then I go and do something like that. It's like, oh God, Gina, why did you do that? Hi guys, I'm gonna make this short and sweet, and I'm doing that on purpose. Sorry, I'm a mess. I was up all night. I haven't slept. I guess I haven't slept since yesterday sometime. I don't know. Anyway, this is intel that was embedded in a Q drop a few days ago. I kept it, and I forgot I had it until I saw a video that was talking about this. And I was going to send that video out to you, but I thought, you know what, that's going to be too long, and this information has to be seen by people who are awake or not. Everyone globally needs to know this information, okay? So here it goes. This is the latest intel. We need 100% of people indoors to see what the U.S. military is going to broadcast on everyone's TV sets worldwide. It is going to be very painful, but we can no longer have people divided. Around Sunday, Monday, POTUS will tweet, "My fellow Americans, the storm is upon us." We will go to full global martial law. He will most likely be on Air Force One when he sends out 7 presidential messages to everyone's phones and TV sets worldwide on the emergency broadcast system. From there, all global militaries via U.S. military will shut down all media, internet, phones, and all TV programming. Emergency services will still have theirs, so the U.S. military can broadcast 10 days of 3 times 8-hour sessions of video confessions, military tribunals, lots of evidence for the scandals listed in the Storm article. While this is happening, they will be removing governments worldwide, making global arrests, 500,000 indictments. Yikes. Gezerah Nazera will be activated, which will be
a full rewiring of the planet. So exciting. But you have to be inside for this information. Make sure your friends and family know about that. Make sure that they're inside. And off I go, back to the drawing board and see what else is going on. Bye.
Madder than a bag of bees. That's all I can say.
Do people really say that, Jem? Or are you just making that up?
Yeah, so what did you think to Gina then from McAllister TV?
Great stuff. I mean, she's fully aware, isn't she? She's definitely clued up to what's going on, and it is kind of like a movie. I mean, if you're involved, then it's a nightmare for you guys. You're living a nightmare, like you're having your rights taken away from you, and you don't know what to do. You don't know what's around the corner. You don't know what's next. It's like a real movie. You don't know what's next, the next scene. So you guys are like uncomfortable. You're not sure which scene you'll be in next. Will you be in the hospital? Will you be dying on the streets? Will you be dying at home? So you don't actually know what's going on, and that's kind of like, so we're watching to see what happens to you guys. She said quite a lot. She said quite a lot of interesting things.
Yeah, well, what she said was, and I think this is very typical of Q stuff, is that you claim such and such a person has been arrested or assassinated.
Oh no, I wanted to answer that. Yeah.
And then, and of course, there's no evidence that that's occurred. These people are still walking around, but apparently that's body doubles or.
No, she's dead right with that. So what I want to say with that is, well, because it's kind of like a double-edged sword, because the idea is if this mass arrests were to happen, this just pushes the one world order, the new world order, the one military, the one world system.
You're madder than she is.
So the idea is let's have this one world televised, program where we all see it together. So again, this is just pushing us towards that one world dream that the elite have been striving for since I think 17th, 16th.
What utter bollocks. Verbal, what are your thoughts?
Oh, I have a question for Chemo, but aren't the elite already living the dream? They have all the wealth and all the money. What more can they want other than more money?
No, you guys, the general public, are living, because they're writing the script for you, the elite. So of course they're living the dream. Yeah, they're directing the movie, so to speak. And you don't know what will happen next. We don't know if there will be a Christmas. We don't know what will happen next year. People can't go on holidays. People are not going to school consistently.
But what does this have to do with the clip, though? Not really. You're just
Everything.
talking about pandemic stuff, and she isn't really talking about that, is she?
Yeah.
Go ahead, Verbal.
I was going to have a question kind of to bring it back on top. So when she says that she knows that there's all this video testimony and there's these tribunals,
right?
Has she actually seen any of that stuff? If she hasn't seen that stuff, how does she know it exists?
She's one of the people that claims to be, quote, Q plus, unquote. And I think various Q followers attempt this if they want to set themselves up as being a bit of as one of the givers of information. And we see this in Flat Earth, don't we? There are people who want to be the purveyors of information, the wise oracles, and there are the people that want to follow them and admire their wisdom. And she's one
Q
of,
has a lot of false prophets, is what you're saying.
Right. She's one of the people that wants to be one of those prophets, that wants to be the giver-outer of information. Yeah. So that's how I see it. Thoughts, Curved?
What I'm wondering is, other than Obama, who else has been executed and is not aware of it?
Didn't she? Who was on ice in Greenland? Who was that?
I don't know, but she said Obama was executed.
Yeah, she did say that. Yeah. I don't know. She's various people. Oh, Justin Trudeau, is it? The Canadian. Is he the Canadian Prime Minister?
Yeah.
She said he
so
was.
If this was all real, how would you want them to? How would the public, like, take this calmly? Could they just put on the news?
Would they? They wouldn't take. They wouldn't take a crazy fantasy calmly if the crazy fantasy came
I'm not saying that.
Came true. They would be crazy, I guess.
I'm saying if it were really happening, that they were doing all this abuse and all of this stuff, how would it be delivered on the news? How would it be put out there so it didn't cause upset and horror? If the president and the people
would report the news, wouldn't they, as it became available to them?
Yeah,
and people wouldn't be horrified.
People would be horrified. They would hopefully call for change.
People are often horrified by the news, right?
And that seems to be like a way to actually get change, rather than this method of making little clicks on Facebook and YouTube and trying to pass around hidden knowledge that's secret from everyone else, saying that one day this will come true. If you really wanted to get this out there, there's plenty of ways. There are actual crimes being committed. There's Interpol, there's the UN, World Assembly. There are different groups that can look into this stuff. And if they can dig up that information as well and verify what you're saying, that gives you credibility. Why are these people not going for those avenues?
I don't think the kind of things that they've been doing, behind closed doors. So,
Well, it's interesting. I think this is a good segue here for our next clip. So, let me just get back to where it is. Sorry, yeah. So, I'll say this. Finally, in our Q section, QAnon made it big in the mainstream this week when a resolution was tabled in the US House of Representatives to condemn the conspiracy theory. It all starts with this campaign ad. Let's take a look.
In every city, in every neighborhood, around every corner, sex offenders are living among us. But Tom Malinowski tried to make it easier for predators to hide in the shadows. Malinowski worked as the top lobbyist for a radical group that strongly opposed the National Sex Offender Registry. Law enforcement praised the National Sex Offender Registry that Tom Malinowski led an effort to stop. After 2 decades in Washington, Tom Malinowski's become dangerously radical. NRCC is responsible for the content of this advertising.
QAnon initially alleged that prominent Americans are engaged in a secret plot to control the world, while using their power to exploit children. As the members may know, the resolution's lead sponsor, Representative Malinowski, has himself faced threats from QAnon supporters after he was falsely accused of lobbying to protect sexual predators. According to the Combating Terrorism Center at the West Point Military Academy, again a quote, QAnon is arguably no longer simply a fringe conspiracy theory, but an ideology that has demonstrated its capacity to radicalize to violence individuals at an alarming speed. The Malinowski-Riggleman resolution does several things. It condemns QAnon and rejects the conspiracy theories that it promotes. It encourages the FBI and all federal law enforcement agencies to continue to strengthen their focus on preventing violence, threats, harassment, and other criminal activity by extremists motivated by fringe political conspiracy theories. And finally, it urges all Americans, regardless of our beliefs or partisan affiliation, to seek information from authoritative sources and to engage in political debate from a common factual foundation.
They are a delusional group that began with an internet post in 2017. They hold the bizarre belief that the federal government is infested with satanic pedophiles who are busy running a global child sex trafficking ring when they're not plotting against President Trump. Now, I'm tempted to say you can't make this stuff up, but obviously somebody did make this stuff up, and given the reach of the internet, it is apparently being taken seriously by some extremists who are turning to violence. Lest it get out of hand, it is appropriate for the House to speak with one voice on behalf of all of our communities across this great nation in condemning QAnon and its conspiracy theories. It should be clear to every man and woman of goodwill in this country that this group seeks only to further roil our society and divide our citizens along lines of race, religion, and politics.
It's one of the oldest lies in the world, a blood libel. And it always goes something like this, that there is a powerful secret group of people who just happen, many of them, to be Jewish, and they're trying to control the world and, for good measure, kidnapping our children. This is the central conspiracy theory that QAnon promotes today, and it sounds crazy, so crazy that sometimes we don't take it seriously enough. But throughout history, conspiracy theories, just like this one, have fueled prejudice, terrorism, even genocide. And today, social media is fanning the flames. Their algorithms know everything about us, what we search for online, our biases, and they feed us more and more extreme versions of what they think we want so that we stay glued to our screens and see more ads and buy more stuff. That, above all, is what is causing so many of our fellow Americans to fear and hate one another. And while many extremist groups on the left and the right are recruiting followers online, nothing today matches the scale of QAnon. Nothing comes close. On Facebook alone, QAnon pages and groups have had up to 3 million members. There have been days this year when the most widely shared social media messages in the country are those promoted by QAnon. QAnon is like a pill that immunizes you against objective reality, which millions of our fellow Americans are taking. It destroys trust in government, in democratic institutions, in science, and in facts. Remember what QAnon is. It is an anti-Semitic, conspiracy-mongering cult that the FBI considers a potential terrorist threat, and it has real, growing political power. So, if you vote against fire today, please don't play with fire tomorrow. Don't be righteous here today and then go QAnon light on the campaign trail. Mr. Speaker, America desperately needs to come together. Conspiracy theories are tearing us apart. Let us pass this resolution and do it overwhelmingly and with true conviction.
QAnon believers have accused me of running a pedophilia ring for Israel, being a member of the Zionist organizational government, been called a traitor, accompanied by a picture of the gallows, and stated I was part of a target list. The grotesque nature of the tweets and Instagram posts and the anti-Semitic tripe spewed by QAnon adherents should cause concern for everyone. Obviously, this is all ridiculous, much like their theory. But the death threats Tom Malinowski received were a surprise and a shock. This type of behavior is easily condemned by all of us here in this chamber today. Putting aside the bizarre views of QAnon adherents, I call on this body to condemn them because of their actions that include threatening the life of my friend, Tom Malinowski, plotting to plant a bomb in the Illinois Capitol Rotunda to make Americans aware of the Pizzagate conspiracy theory, the murder of a man in New York in '29, and other such activities.
Mr. Speaker, one of the stages of deprogramming cult members is to point out the differences between the cult's ideology and reality. And QAnon is a cult. In an effort to reach some of the people who have fallen under its control, I'd like to point out a few facts. Mass shootings are not staged so that the government can come and take away your guns. John F. Kennedy Jr. died more than 20 years ago in a tragic aircraft accident. He is not in hiding, nor is he going to be President Trump's running mate. And President Trump is not fighting a secret war against a satanic child molesting network of politicians. It's a sad statement that discussing such obvious absurdities is occurring in this chamber today. But the fact is that some have praised QAnon and encouraged the growth of this cult, even as the FBI has labeled it a domestic terror threat. And sadly, with the support of the White House and even some members of Congress, QAnon has moved from the darkest corners of the internet into the mainstream of today's political discourse. This November, there will be 22 QAnon or individuals on the ballot for the House and the Senate who have either been endorsed by or lent credence to QAnon. This is a threat to public safety and to our democracy as a whole. This movement needs to be condemned, and its followers need to be brought back to reality, just as we would do with any other cult.
Politicians have unforgivably embraced them. Social media platforms legitimize them to an unwitting public. Well, I've had enough. QAnon followers like to say in their vague, ominous ramblings that no one can stop what is coming. That's wrong. We can. And we will.
Wow. QAnon taking a real battering there in the US House of Representatives.
Yeah, I find that very telling. The phrase that kept coming to mind as I was watching all of these people rant against QAnon. I think Congress doth protest too much. I think they've shown their hand. However, still, with that being said, with these charges of anti-Semitism and whatnot, I do believe that Hippity needs to be brought in for questioning.
Yeah, maybe.
And then Guam's going to capsize.
Well, you can't rule it out.
I think they make a point though about its growing political power, and I do see that as a problem. I wonder how these people can, the prospect of them sitting alongside or opposite people who genuinely think that they're running, an international paedophile ring. I can understand why they're, annoyed.
They're gaslit. They got gaslit by this.
Sorry?
I said it's a gaslighting subject. If you tell people that there are rapists and pedophiles out there, it gets them emotional and it gets them engaged when they normally wouldn't have anything to do with these subjects.
Right. The charge has been made that I think that's the what is it? The Republican Campaign Committee, I think, or I can't remember exactly what they're called, but who organised that commercial. That the charge has been made that they're playing off the QAnon idea with that, and there was another commercial as well, where it wasn't quite so obvious, but they seemed to be, they were sending similar messages with it. What do you think to that? Or is that just standard fare for an American election commercial?
There was actually one person on the Trump campaign who pleaded guilty for child pornography. Nader is his last name, I believe. Yeah. So there are actually people in it, but it's not the people that the QAnon keeps pointing to.
Right.
And that's the problem. They're very misguided.
Yeah, agreed.
They want it to be Obama and Hillary and all these people, but they overlook the people that actually are committing the crimes.
Right. Kosho, any thoughts? Are you still with us?
I think he's busy rewatching that last video over and over again.
I've got a feeling he's nipped to the shop or something like that, Chemo.
Yeah, they're panicking. They recognise the public are onto them, and they're just trying to prevent any more questions being asked. But the old saying: if they've got nothing to hide, they've got nothing to fear. But it looks like they've got lots to fear, because QAnon, whatever they've created, this system that they've created has now gone out of control. And a lot of people are, looking into things that they probably wouldn't have looked into before. And now they're just trying to rectify the problem by shutting it down. So to me, it almost looks like they've created the problem. We have a reaction and they'll give us a solution. So to me, it's typical government tactics to control the people. But they are panicking though. So for me, they do realise that people are asking.
So you think when they said this isn't true, we're not really, there isn't really JFK in hiding, and we're not really running a paedophile ring. You think they actually are?
Yeah, of course they are. They know
What do you
they
mean,
are.
of course they are? Why, of course?
If he's confident, Jim.
I mean, this has been known for many, many years, like I said, but it hasn't come out as much as it has, in this time that we see now because of social media. So social media is out of control, and just like the flat Earth. Remember, flat Earth came out originally, and then it just took off, and then
Yeah,
obviously
you're right.
take control.
You're right. Utter bullshit can spread via social media. You're quite right.
This reminds me completely of Xenu.
It really does, doesn't it? All right, we're going to have another clip now because it's the only way I can shut chemo up. So, we move now from QAnon to not quite QAnon. Save Our Children is a QAnon spin-off that continues to gain traction in the USA and here in the UK. Like QAnon, it offers elite paedophile rings who are about to be have just been exposed, but without all the Trumpian politics. Here is our old friend, the ever-benevolent Roxanne, to tell us more.
And the one thing I know that we are all passionate about is saving the children. And again, massive, massive respect for everything that you guys have done and girls have done across the country over the last few months. You've shone a massive light on this most important topic. And literally in less than a couple of days from now, there's going to be an even more big light shone on this in the capital city. And I'm proud to say that Save Our Children, we've got Eyes Wide Open, Stand Up for the Children. You really are pioneering this real, I think it's a headline really, because you can put everything else at the wayside, but the children are the future. And if someone doesn't stand up for the children that don't have a voice, then we've already lost the war before we've even tried fighting the battle.
Well, we've already seen they're not going to do it. So
Correct.
It's up to us, good people, to do it for them.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Well said. Well said. So will Save Our Children from Liverpool be coming up to London on Saturday?
Yes, they will be. We're all coming down to show our support and come united together. So we're looking for loads of people that we're bringing haven't even been to London before.
Yeah, brilliant. Wow. Well, they get a warm reception, definitely. Well, from us anyway.
Big hugs from
us anyway.
Yeah, arms wide open, welcome.
Can't wait.
Wonderful, wonderful. And this is something that I really want to shine a light in the chat room. This is something that has been going on since the beginning of time. This is something that's been ingrained for an incredibly long time. This is systemic abuse on children from before they've even left the womb. And we have got a few uncomfortable things that we are going to go through this evening that people really need to understand. This is the uncomfortable truth. This is the one that no one really wants to talk about. And if everyone can get away with it, can we just leave that to the side? Why? Because I don't really want to talk about it. Or do you have to keep bringing it up? You're not going to be able to stop it on your own. And that's right. On your own, we can't do anything.
Of course.
You all got told that, what are you meant to do? You can't make no change. We were like, oh, watch us. We're going to come together. We're going to spread light and, bring this down.
Well said. Well said. So will there be any public speaking going on the 10th? Will anybody be giving any testimonies? Will there be anybody on the mic speaking?
Well, hopefully I'm going to speak. We've got a survivor who actually got trafficked into the porn industry as well from a child. So she's going to share her story. She's amazing. Samantha, her name is. And then we might have
before you do it, well done.
Yeah, so brave. So brave.
It's going to be good. Looking forward to it.
That's going to be amazing.
Made things happen, so it's going to be a good day, isn't it?
I believe our only way to win this is our love for our children. Once we realise the stuff what's been going on with our children, on the scale it's on, that your Joe blogs that might not really give a what about anything else will really come out for that once they really realise what's going on. Right. And this stuff is mainstream, what we're talking about here. Like you're seeing it on the front of newspapers for years and years. You're seeing the stuff about the church, what we're going to show shortly. But there's so much out there. It's not a conspiracy. We need to express that. It's definitely not a conspiracy.
There's a lot of people that have come across this subject, Pizzagate, child trafficking, Planned Parenthood, if they can keep
So
a
many
fetus
levels of
alive,
it,
they
isn't
will
there?
keep a
So
fetus
many
alive,
levels.
selling a baby parts. There is a lot of people that have come across these topics and they genuinely thought they were only on the internet. Like literally only on the internet. They just thought, like you said, it was a few conspiracy theories thrown around on the internet with no substantiating, supporting evidence. But people really have more time come to the conclusion now that it's not just something on the internet. This is something that's very real. There's supporting evidence. There's testimonies. You look at the Disney cruises. You look at the wristbands. Do you know what? There's a host. The information to know is yours. All right. It's not for anyone to take someone's word for it. Because the information's there. This is not some kind of airy-fairy crackpot conspiracy theory. And there's no one particular thing that's going on here other than children are being trafficked and sexually trafficked on a heinous scale before they've even taken their first breath.
Yeah, so what we've been doing is more of the child sex trafficking and all the paedophilia within the higher elites and everything like that.
And everyone's knowledge is power. Like, literally, lockdown came in, and I think everyone just took to the internet, to YouTube, to researching, and falling down the rabbit hole. And then the next minute, people felt that they wanted to get empowered and do something because they took the power away from them. They're in lockdown. They've got nothing else to do. But then we also have people who you'd hand the flyers to, and they go, no. And we'd be like, about child trafficking and exploitation and child abuse. And they go, no, it's fine. And we were like, it's not fine. Can you just read? And they were like, no. And we were like, wow, these people, we're not trying to give them something about something different. This is about children. We're all mums, dads, brothers, sisters. We were all children. You can't get away from that.
So, to be fair, you've got to take your hats off to everyone, really. Everyone that's involved, everyone that comes to the protests. So there's a lot of work that gets done behind the scenes and a lot of time, and none of us don't get paid a penny for it. We do it for the love of our hearts and for the children. Kids are going missing every day. How can kids just go missing? I know everyone's it, but how can they? You sit there and put your mind to it and think, hang on, how can they actually just go missing? If a child walks away from his mum at a shopping centre, a grown adult's going to see that kid and question, where's your mum? Do you know what I mean? You're not just going to let that kid walk off. So it is, how do kids just go missing? They don't, they get sold. And they get sold for flipping reasons which we know why.
It's been happening, it's been common knowledge for too long, and it's been a hidden topic for too long. So we really need to, their cover's blown, like their cover is absolutely blown. So we need to carry on pulling off that cover and revealing and especially the small, frail people that are in control of it all.
That's why we need all to wake up, because everyone's turning a blind eye and it's just carrying on. So who's got a voice for them children? Obviously that's why we've all stood up and gone, we have. Like
you said, kids don't just go missing. They don't just kind of go, oh, if someone used an eraser on them, well, they don't glitch out of existence. And when you look at Planned Parenthood, the whole aspect of keeping fetuses alive without the parents' consent, selling that child on, and if you think about the amount of abortions that happen on a daily basis internationally, and then just start quantifying the numbers of the amount of fetuses that are kept alive, there's your massive swathes of individuals. Just look at the Haiti crisis. Look at what happened in Haiti. Look at how many children went missing just in that massive disaster, and how many celebrities walked out of that with little designer kids, as they call them.
Hi guys, it's Lauren from Stand Up Bristol. I just want to say, at the very beginning of lockdown, we were told we were going to be in a lockdown for 2 weeks, and that was it. That was it. And we were telling everyone it was going to get worse, and no one listened. And now our whole economy's collapsed. The music industry's in danger. We can't sing, we can't breathe, we can't dance. There's army out on the streets handing out COVID tests, intimidating people. It's a complete violation against our civil rights. What do you think is going to happen when the vaccines are ready to come out? The army are going to be out in force. And you guys need to stand up right now. There is no time like the present. It's going to be too late soon. Please, guys, just listen to us. Get up, stand up, and fight for your freedoms. Fight for your future. Fight for the children. We need you. We need you out with us.
Oh, my God. That was just so full of just nonsense mixed up with, you know, real life issues in just a horrible way, I thought.
Yeah,
Well, they don't have Planned Parenthood, so why would they know anything about it?
It's all part of the internet meme, isn't it? You know, that I mean, the idea that she's latched onto is, it comes from those, you know, where they did those sort of covert filming of people who had worked in Planned Parenthood.
Yeah.
That claim emanates from one of those videos, I think. Which were apparently were quite dodgy in the way that they were produced, but that's a whole other story. What, did you want to say something, Curve? Sorry, I'll gather my thoughts.
I just wanted to give that chick props for her man bun. I thought it was rather noteworthy.
Yeah, I mean, I thought one of the things she said that was interesting, and I think is probably true, is she said, well, when lockdown happened, everyone just took to the internet researching and went down the rabbit hole. And I think that's true. I think that is why some of these things have grown in the way that they have. But also, I think I tried to put it across there that, you know, they don't really understand what child trafficking is, or what missing children are. You know, they're sort of talking about kids being snatched from their mother in a shopping centre. And that really isn't really what's going on. Trafficking, I think, is mostly about coercion. You know,
they gain trust. They utilize that against them. Yeah, that's
right.
Exactly what it is for most cases.
Yeah, kids get involved in stuff, you know, because they want to avoid immigration authorities and things like that, you know. So and then for the missing children, I mean, they loved it. I mean, I saw at the protest, actually. I didn't bother with some footage of it because it wasn't that interesting, but they, you know, at all these, and I've seen this at all these protests, there's always someone with a sign saying 112,000 children go missing every year in the UK. Mm-hmm. And I think I went over this before, but that's the number of children reported missing, or the number of missing children reports. It actually represents about 75,000 children, because a lot of them get reported missing, you know, multiple times. You know, because
and most of the time it's a family member or someone that they know that takes them.
Right. And then, of course, there's some that just run away from home. I was a teenage runaway myself, although I wasn't ever reported to the police, I don't think. But you know, some do that, or they've got a secret boyfriend that they go and live with, or and then, of course, some genuinely go missing. But I think it's more like, you know, 15 than it is 112,000 or something like that. And I'm not saying that isn't a terrible thing. That is a terrible, terrible thing. But I don't think it helps to, you know, bury that under bullshit, you know, scaremongering nonsense, and really a total misunderstanding of the problem that you're saying you're trying to highlight.
Curved, I have a question for you.
Shoot.
Did you hear that story about Joe Montana? Maybe 2 or 3 weeks ago? Someone tried to kidnap his granddaughter, or a niece or someone in front of him, and he prevented the abductor from taking the child. So, I mean, this isn't anything that is unique to only the poor or indigent, you know. People with money, their children go missing too.
Oh, yeah.
It's really sad.
Just random in public that happened to be a celebrity.
Mm-hmm.
Right. I'm not saying that can't happen, but I don't think that that's really the real problem, you know.
Right. Yeah. And not at all what they're referring to.
Right.
Theirs is completely organized. It's a network. It's crime group, syndicate type thing.
And you saw, you know, Roxanne, you know, they were insistent that it's not a conspiracy theory. And then straight away, she starts talking about Pizzagate and wristbands on Disney cruise ships, which is apparently Disney cruise ships apparently something to do with child trafficking. And, you know, a load of others, I can't remember what all the other things were, but, obviously the Planned Parenthood stuff, which she's you know, just got wrong. I don't know. And you heard her say, she said, we've got a survivor, and that seems to be common at these protests. They always have some genuine survivor, and then they sort of use that to sort of bring credibility to internet nonsense. And I think it's a bad thing overall. I'm sure I'll be criticised by someone for saying this, but it is what it is. There's a real problem there, and these people aren't exposing it. They're just pretending they are.
Well, rather than talking about the problem, bringing up ways to solve the identified problem, they go right to emotional arguments and say, this is the case, and you have to take all these people down.
Right. Oh, yes, another thing. Oh, and another thing, right at the end, they had that girl from another one of these stand-up groups do her little thing. And she said, we were told at the beginning of lockdown it was going to be for 2 weeks. 2 weeks and that's it. No, we weren't. And she said, we all said it was going to get worse and it would be longer, and nobody listened. These people, they just make up any old shit. We were never, ever told it was only going to be for 2 weeks. So I don't know where she got that nonsense from. But
that's what Chemo told her.
But it was part of the narrative that, you know, she was the wise one that knew differently, you know. They wind me up, these folk.
I'll bet Chemo's got some good ideas on how to stop these trafficking rings.
Any ideas, Chemo? He's gone to make a cup of tea.
He's probably sneezing.
One of the things we heard that girl say right at the end there was that the army are on the streets handing out tests and intimidating people. Raw video of this intimidation was revealed this week. Let's take a look. God, I'm in the wrong place. Look, it's coming.
Yeah, I'm just walking on Station Road now. There's three people on high-vis, two in army gear. Good afternoon, how you doing, guys?
Yes, good, thanks, how are you?
What are you guys doing on the streets, if you don't mind me asking?
The City Council, we're just supporting them, handing out COVID tests.
For what reason?
Just to give people a chance to test themselves in the house.
Can I ask you a question? I'm a citizen of Handsworth, and I live in this community. I just want to know, and I'm recording this for my safety and your safety also, why is the need to have the army on our streets and knocking on people's doors and to see if they want to be tested?
We're just here to support the council and hand them out.
But why the army?
Just to support. That's all we're here for, just to support the council and help hand out tests.
But if people want to have tests, surely that's their discretion. They can go voluntarily to any sort of centres to have tested. So why knock on people's doors?
Just to give them the option. They don't have to take it. They can just take it if they want.
And whose directive is this?
Birmingham City Council.
Birmingham City Council. And where's Birmingham City Council got this directive from?
I'm not sure, sorry.
And also, just to say, if you do come knocking on my door and I refuse, is there any repercussions to that?
Of course not, no. It's entirely up to yourself.
And how do you guys feel? I assume you're part of the British Army?
The Air Force.
You are, the Air Force, yeah? And how do you guys feel knocking on people's doors?
I don't want to answer more questions, but we're just here to support, but thank you.
Yeah, but surely, I mean, you're here to, this is a democratic country that we live in, yes? And it's a free country. Do you not think this is a bit draconian in terms of what you guys are doing?
I'm not answering more questions, sorry, but we're just here to support, but thank you.
So you're only here to support?
We're here to support the council, yes.
Is there any legal right that you can actually go around knocking on people's doors?
I'm not answering any more questions.
Well, it's not very good. Like I said, I'm not happy as a citizen of Handsworth, and I'm one of the residents around here. And if I do see anybody, any people that I know, I will tell them to refuse to open their doors, because I think it's an absolute liberty of people's civil rights and taking away our freedoms. This is absolute tyranny. Having the army on the streets, Yeah, having the army on the streets. Now listen, I'm saying having the army on the streets is absolute tyranny, and you guys really should be ashamed of yourselves doing this. You know that? It's absolutely disgusting. Is this what this country's come to now? Absolutely disgraceful. Knocking on people's doors to ask if they want to be tested. There's nothing wrong with people. If people want to get tested, they can go to these test centres if they want to. This is intimidation. You know that. Absolute tyranny. And mark my words, when we get the words out, taking orders from on high. So this is Station Road, people. They're going out knocking on people's doors, asking if they want to have voluntary tests. And we don't even know what these tests are. We don't know what they're for. So please, I say to the community of Handsworth, do not open your doors, and if you do open your doors, politely tell them to go away. Yeah? Away, brother. You okay, yeah? So I'm just recording these army people on the street.
I've just put the picture up on the group chat.
Oh, have you? Okay, well listen, I've just spoken to them, I've recorded them, so we just need to get the word out to people not to open doors.
I've told everyone, I've put it on the group chat.
Yeah, I've just seen the photos, yeah.
Yeah.
No problem. Listen, let's just see what they've got to say anyways. They haven't said much anyways. I'm not too sure, I'll ask them. Just tell them to go away. Tell them you don't want to test. This is all against the law. Coming around knocking on people's doors. How dare you taking civil liberties out of people's knocking on people's doors? Well, you shouldn't be asking people, madam, shut your door and tell them no. Right? This is a piss take. The army on the streets. You should be ashamed of yourselves. This is Britain, not fucking communist China. Just politely say no, madam. Yeah, you all need to get off the streets. All of you. Why? Why? Because you're taking the piss, that's why. Knocking on people's doors, it's a liberty. Don't just say no. Don't open your doors and tell them piss off. They've got no right coming around here knocking on people's doors. This is a liberty. Yeah, you all need to get off the roads, get off the streets and stop knocking on people's doors. Tell them no, love, if they come knocking on your door. Who the bloody hell do you think you are? I'm a citizen of this fucking country, that's who I am, mate. I'm a tax-paying individual. Okay. Well, yeah, you got no right going around knocking on people's doors.
What, giving a free COVID test?
Yes. If people want to have a COVID test, they can go on their own free will. We don't need people like you knocking on people's doors. Okay. No, do one. Okay. Because there'll be many more of us on the streets. Goodbye. Yeah, goodbye. Fucking goodbye. Yeah, I'm just walking on Station Road now.
Well, what a nutter. Todd Allen says this guy is the reason the UK is failing badly to manage the COVID pandemic. Thanks very much for the super chat, Todd. So
well, clearly Todd is onto something. Your next Prime Minister of the United Kingdom, Todd Allen.
I thought the intimidation that was going on there was the guy that was bellowing at people to tell them to go away and piss off. And I didn't think they were in any way intimidating. And I don't really... I don't know whether there's any sense in handing out tests like that, but I don't really see any problem with it.
Well, I mean, aren't those Air Force gentlemen, aren't they also citizens of Britain too?
Right.
So what's the problem?
Well, it's a liberty.
I mean, it's not like they were armed or anything. It's, you know.
But what did he mean? He kept saying it's a liberty.
It's a liberty to not have your door knocked on.
It's a violation of their liberty? What? I didn't even get what he was saying there. But
I don't think he really knew what he was saying. But sometimes we say, sometimes we say that. That's a fucking liberty.
Huh.
It's like you're taking a liberty.
So when the mailman comes to my door, I should just tell him to fuck off because it's my liberty?
Right. Show me where in the Magna Carta it says that the army can knock on your door to offer you a COVID test.
But he seemed to think you needed permission to knock on someone's door, and you don't need. There's no law against that.
Are you sure?
Yeah, we don't even have a trespass law.
I think that guy's pretty in tune with the law. I wouldn't want to go.
He's going to be running for the city council pretty soon, Jam. Just you watch. Stay tuned.
But it's been quite viral, this video. It's, you know, a lot of them are using it to say the army are on the streets. I don't think this is really what's meant by the army being on the streets, you know.
Well, it's
Do you guys mean the same thing? Air Force is army in the UK?
No,
that confuses me.
They are separate. They're a separate, a separate force.
They look more like Boy Scouts. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah, I mean, I think they may have even been Air Force cadets, possibly.
It looks like they were going around and trying to sell cookies in the neighborhood.
Because they
had a little wagon behind them, and they were pulling from door to door.
I think they could well have been cadets, where, you know, we have these cadet schemes where, you know, they take them, I think, up to 18. And they, you know, it's, you know, you do all Air Forcey stuff, or the Army have one, and the Navy have them as well in you know, more in coastal places, you know, and it's kind of like the Boy Scouts, but more Army, or, you know, more militaristic. So I think they may have been part of that, although he just said Air Force. But that kind of makes me think that as well, because usually Air Force people say Royal Air Force. So, I don't know. But anyway, he didn't have a gun, and I think that's what, when they say army on the streets, that's what's meant by army on the streets, is armed people who are there to do law enforcement type operations. You know, that would be army on the streets, not people handing out bloody COVID tests.
Well, they were armed with those orange vests. They're very bright, Jam.
Well, the problem is they're going around tyrannically offering.
Right. I know. Yeah.
I mean, he does have a point. They were offering free tests. I mean, what is this, communism?
What a tyranny.
Would it be, is it a good idea, though, Verbal, do you think, to do that? To just be, you know, trying to test everyone?
Ideally, if you could test everyone, I would think, why not? It would give you a better idea of how many people are actively infected and whether the things you're doing are having an effect. Because if you can test everyone and you get a number, okay, we know that 100,000 people tested positive. If you can test everyone again later and you see that number coming down, I think you have objective evidence to say what you're doing is working to bring the number down.
Right.
Whereas if you do that again and that number goes up to 200,000, well, then you know that it's getting worse and maybe you need to be more aggressive. I mean, it's not something that I can say yes or no on, because I mean, really what we're worried about, like me as a healthcare provider, I'm worried about the number of people going into the hospital right now, because that's the more tenuous number. If it tips over and there's not enough beds, then everyone's doomed, or not doomed, but in trouble.
Right. I mean, we don't seem to have got close to that tipping point yet, I don't think, really, even anywhere. Not even on a local level, I don't think.
Which is, you guys are fortunate, because I know it keeps jumping from state to state here in the U.S. I think Wisconsin had it really bad last week, where they had no beds in some places, and they were shipping people to Michigan and other states.
Yeah, I mean, as I said at the start, my city is more infected than anywhere else. We've got the highest infection rate of anywhere, apparently. So, yeah.
Well, tell Chemo to stop sneezing on people.
Well, thankfully, he isn't in my city, although he isn't that far away, I think. But yeah, I mean, I guess I think I would take a test, or I think I would take one of those tests if they came round with them, and I think I would probably not use it unless I felt ill, and then if I felt ill, I think I would use it and see then. It would be kind of a handy thing to have in the house for that purpose, I think. Anyway, let's move on, shall we? Some months ago, at the start of the pandemic, it was trendy for our flat friends to visit hospital car parks and reception areas and proclaim their emptiness is evidence of a hoax. This week, flat earther Mikey Smith developed this idea somewhat. Here he is in action.
We're gonna head out to we've got 2 cemeteries here in Regina, and we will check the bigger one for the supposed deaths of all these COVID people. If I had the gas, I would drive around to every cemetery in Saskatchewan, just to confirm that there is no deaths or an overabundance amount of them, more than normal. So yeah. Still looking for the corona victims. There is would it say on some of the gravestones if they were like what they died of? No, I don't think they would say that, would they? They could even change that. Maybe they would even put... Shouldn't be laughing, but whatever. I'm looking for the new ones. Where are the new ones? There's hardly any new... Oh, there's one over there. We can go have a look at that one. There's 2 of them. We'll just check it out and see. I guess they could have died in. This is recent. This is July 8th. So that's a corona victim. So yeah, no corona victims out here that I could see. We're just driving through the cemetery here looking for the so-called coronavirus victims, and I have not seen any. There's only a few very recent graves. There was one that just happened a few days ago. That was the most recent. October the 2nd, I think it was. And so yeah, other than that, I see nothing that shows me that there is a pandemic going on.
There really is no limit, is there, to these people and their...
It's obscenely moronic what he's doing.
I mean, it really is, isn't it? I mean, what can you say? There's not much you can say, is there, really?
Well, he's very fortunate to be in Canada, where the overall death count is less than 10,000 for a population of what? 60 million? I don't know.
Right. They're spread out, though, aren't they?
Yeah.
I think that's maybe why we're suffering so badly, because we all, we've got the same number of people in about 100th of the area of land or something. I don't know how many UKs fit into Canada, but an awful lot. Maybe not 100, okay, but many, I feel. Are you back with us, Kosho? I think he must have died.
Jeez. Well, I mean, we know that chemo did sneeze on him.
Yeah, that's true. Go ahead, Curved.
Well, Kosha was distressed to learn that Dolly Daydream was into the Scientology thing, so
Yeah.
I am nervous for him.
Yeah, she has said that she's been reading her Dianetics, so...
Maybe he's busy getting his thetans measured.
Yeah, I don't know what's happened to him. It's having some sort of... I bet he's gone to a shop. Although it's been gone a while now, hasn't he?
Where is Regina?
Oh, it's in Saskatchewan. Did I say that correctly?
Isn't that the place where the Bigfoot lives?
That's Sasquatchewan.
Yeah.
Oh.
For a minute there, I was thinking, yes, of course it... Hold on. What? Oh. I was very confused by that word. Yeah, he's a friend of Fokker's, you know. He gets together with Fokker sometimes. You know, Flat Earth Fokker, who did that. He was the guy that was doing the hospitals at the beginning of it.
Yeah, it was interesting. As soon as I saw him in the video, I was like, this guy looks Canadian. And then you said his name was Mikey Smith.
Right.
It's like, he must be Canadian.
Why, is that a very Canadian name?
Yeah, I think Mike Smith is the most common name in Canada.
Really? Yeah.
Well, at least he's out in the field doing his own research.
Right, yeah. Yeah. He called Judith Resnick as well the other day.
Oh, my.
I know. I think he only got a voicemail or something. I don't think it was even her. I think it was probably her office or something. Anyway, shall we have a bit more? We're racing through them, but we need to because there's a few. Next, a conspiracy. Oh, no, wrong. Now, for a couple of conspiracies that I have never come across before, starting with a visit to Mount Rushmore.
Little video going. Can we see the top of that? Looks like it's been spray painted with some kind of sparkle material. And look at the top of these rocks.
It's not a real rock. It's layered. Look, it's fiberboard. It's fiberboard. It's not rock. It's fiberboard. That's fiber. It's concrete fiberboard.
It's not even rock,
No,
guys.
it's not rock.
It's what they made it out of.
It's what these are all made out of. And out of there too. It doesn't have the right sound. Hear it? That sounds like paper. That's not rock on rock. It's heavy paper. It's paper mache or something.
And all these rocks are dusted with it. See this here? All this glitter. I'm able to rip this rock apart. It's made out of like fiberboard. Look at that. If I'm able to do that with this rock, then maybe Mount Rushmore is fake as well. Look at that. Rocks don't do that, guys. Granite doesn't do that.
So, Mount Rushmore, it's all fake.
I wonder if they were wearing masks when they were tearing apart that fiberboard. I mean, if you breathe that stuff in, that's not good.
Yeah, that's true. I don't know what rocks Mount Rushmore is made of, but it just looked like sedimentary rock to me, you know.
I'm surprised they didn't try to taste it and make sure it was fiberboard. Oh, blimey, Jason, it tastes just like fiberboard.
DKG Custom says, if it was made of paper, it still wouldn't be fake. It's still there. Oh, that's a good point, really, isn't it? It would still be, if you'd done that out of paper mache, that would be a pretty impressive achievement in the world of paper mache building, I would think. I don't think there would be a bigger paper mache structure ever. And for paper, it's stood up to the test of time pretty well, I think.
Yeah. You would think the rain would just, like, melt it away.
Any thoughts, Curved, on your valuable monument being disparaged in this manner?
Look, Jeb, who are you going to believe? I mean, those guys, they were on the spot. They tested the samples. They banged the paper. They heard the sound of the paper. They saw the glitter. You going to take their word, or somebody on the internet who's just trying to mock them?
That was an amazing claim, wasn't it? When he said it sounds like paper. No, it doesn't.
I'm pretty sure that Mount Rushmore was made a long time ago. When was paper mache invented?
I don't know. When was oh gosh, I don't know.
I'm gonna look it up real quick.
Yeah.
It was made between 1927 and 1941.
What, Mount Rushmore or paper mache?
That's Mount Rushmore.
Same thing.
I know.
Okay,
I used to do it a lot when I was a kid. We used to put it on a balloon and then burst the balloon.
So it says paper mache was invented by the Han Dynasty in BC 200.
Oh, it's been around a while.
That predates it quite a bit.
Yeah,
maybe they're right.
I guess you never know.
Mount Rushmore could be thousands of years old.
Yeah. Yeah, it's fake. They faked its youth.
It's a prophecy, if you really dig into it, of who would be presidents of the U.S. later.
Right.
That's a conspiracy.
Okay, well now I've got another conspiracy that I hadn't heard of before, and it actually got mentioned earlier in the show in the Q stuff when someone said Nessara and Jessara will be activated. So this conspiracy started some 20 years ago, but popped onto my radar for the first time this week, as it seems to be trending. Here is an introduction to Nessara. Whoops. Hit that button. It's coming.
Godfather of the Rothschild banking cartel, Mayor Amschel Rothschild said, "Give me control of a nation's money, and I care not who makes the laws." In a recent Bloomberg article, "The Fed's Cure Risks Being Worse Than the Disease," Jim Bianco explains what is now happening with the Federal Reserve Bank in their response to the coronavirus. He writes, "This scheme essentially merges the Fed and Treasury into one organization. So meet your new Fed chairman, Donald J. Trump." Did President Trump just nationalize the Federal Reserve Bank? On June 4th, 1963, President John F. Kennedy issued Executive Order 11110, which many believe was an effort to transfer power from the Federal Reserve Bank to the United States Department of the Treasury by replacing Federal Reserve notes with silver certificates, thereby taking the power away from the international banking cartels. Less than 6 months later, President Kennedy was assassinated, and his move against the Fed was reversed. During the Civil War, President Abraham Lincoln printed $400 million worth of greenbacks, a debt-free, interest-free money, independent of international bank control. In response, the London Times wrote that if that mischievous financial policy, which had its origin in the North American Republic, should become indurated down to a fixture, then that government will furnish its own money without cost. It will pay off debts and be without debt. It will have all the money necessary to carry on its commerce. It will become prosperous beyond precedent in the history of the civilized governments of the world. The brains and the wealth of all countries will go to North America. That government must be destroyed, or it will destroy every monarchy on the globe. The bankers were not willing to lose power, and the Bank of England went on to fund the Confederacy. Weeks prior to Lincoln's assassination, assassin John Wilkes Booth spent time in Montreal, known as the Confederate capital of Canada, and was found after the assassination with a banknote from Ontario Bank. Booth's personal manager was banker Joseph Siemens. After Lincoln was killed, power was restored to the international banking cartel. The National Economic Security and Recovery Act, known as NESARA, was a set of proposed economic reforms suggested during the 1990s by Harvey Francis Bernard. Bernard created the NESARA proposal during the late 1980s. He sent copies to members of Congress, but was ignored. In 2001, he established the NESARA Institute and published the second edition of his book in 2005, retitling it Draining the Swamp, The NESARA Story, Monetary and Fiscal Policy Reform. The policies included replacing the income tax with a national sales tax, abolishing compound interest on secured loans, and returning to a bimetallic currency, which he claimed would result in 0% inflation and a more stable economy. There is a big buzz on the internet that President Trump is implementing this plan. There is also speculation that this is part of a huge global economic reset, GESARA, to be decided at the International World Court of The Hague. If this is true, certainly this decision has been decided years ago, and we are just now feeling the effects. The coronavirus scare is beginning to look like a false alarm, but the reaction is looking just like a false flag. And it seems that when we come out the other end of this, the world will be different. For Infowars.com, this is Greg Reese.
So, apparently a banned video, it said. Although it's obviously not. And that is an introduction to NESARA and GESARA.
I hope you're not going to get flagged for that music. It was terrible music.
I know, I bet I'll be in trouble for that as well. Everybody's going to want a piece of my action on this show tonight. Because there's been so much music on it, they'll all be collecting my monetization. So anyway, yeah, this has been around for a long time, this thing. There's a woman who calls herself Dove of Oneness who has been spreading this around since about 2005. And the idea is that this is just about to be announced, the NESARA announcement. And she gets people to confirm this by basically going into their bank and asking the teller if they've had their NESARA training or if they have any of the rainbow currency in the bank. Because as part of this economic reset, there will be a new currency in America, and it will be like other countries in the world where different denominations of note are a different colour. I understand they're all the same in the USA.
Interesting.
And they call that the rainbow currency. So yeah, so these people, they go into their bank and they ask the teller, and the teller obviously doesn't really understand what they're saying, and say, have you had your NESARA training? And they just think they mean training, or whatever, But anyway, it's an interesting little thing, and it's popped up again and sort of attached itself to Q, as so many, Q seems to swallow up conspiracies like they're going out of fashion.
That's true. They got to. I mean, it's a rat race. They got to keep up with the next conspiracy, and what better way than to absorb them into your fold?
Right. What about a bimetallic currency curved? What do you reckon? A return to the gold standard for the USA. Good idea?
You know, a lot of people would disagree, but I think it doesn't make any difference. But I did read something when this got brought up by you the other day. I was Googling some things, and I swear I read something. I don't know how official the source was, but I mean, it seemed to indicate that Trump had done, not Trump, I'm sorry, but you know, it was HR bill that was passed. It was numbered and everything, and it seemed to be a .gov website, I thought.
Right. Interesting.
And I remember that term, bimetallic currency, or bimetallic something with the currency. That had I don't know. It didn't address whether the Senate did it. I guess passed it. So
Right.
I don't know. I didn't know what to make of it. I shut it down and kind of forgot about it. But like I said, it didn't look like a wacky conspiracy site. It looked like it was just an information site where the government, you know, you can look up what has been done, you know, HR bills and stuff like that have passed. So
Right.
I don't know about this stuff.
Someone will look at it for us during the next clip, I think, perhaps.
Maybe.
It's quite a long
Maybe.
clip, so they've got time. And it's more of a listening clip than a looking. Well, I guess there's some looking bits. Shall we do it? It's the last one.
Do it.
I think we should. Okay, a little bit of background. Our final clip this week features ex-BBC radio presenter Alex Belfield, ex-BBC TV presenter Anna Brees, and our old mate, Sleeping Warrior, who has decided to set himself up as some sort of human rights lawyer, as we will see in the following sad and shameless attempt at self-promotion. Enjoy.
Hi, Paul. It's Sleeping Warrior from YouTube.
Hello, mate.
I'm familiar with the protesting that's been going on down in London, and I just wanted to remind people that there's a bigger issue that we're all seeming to conveniently forget about at the moment with regards to our human rights. I want to remind people that Article 11 of the Human Rights Act of 1998 gives us the ability to assemble and express our opinions. The police think that we forget that it's not an absolute right, but we don't. We understand that it's not an absolute right. But we understand as well that the government must only curtail those rights, provided that the curtailments that the government applies is necessary, proportionate,
And lawful.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
People
So help me with
forgetting
this
about
then. Help me with this, because I'm not as smart as you. And I don't know your YouTube channel. I'm sure I've come across it at some point, but I don't know what it is, and you're welcome to plug that at the end. But why did they arrest the doctor yesterday, and on what grounds, lawfully?
It only takes one person arguing the doctor's position, saying that whatever may or may not be going on here, the government's reaction is clearly disproportionate, because the facts are the only people that seem to be getting affected are the people that are either elderly or suffering with cardiovascular problems, and those people are the ones that the regulation should apply to, not the nation as a whole.
Correct.
Now, their argument is, well, we're focusing on the infection rate. Well, the problem with that is it's based on the common cold. So you are essentially arguing that you're trying to eradicate the common cold, because if you are, they're never going to get away with that. But we need somebody to go through the legal system after being prosecuted to be able to open the doors to this argument, because I don't think the government are going to be able to satisfy the burden of proof beyond all reasonable doubt that what they're doing is proportionate.
Yes.
So we need somebody that's been charged and prosecuted. We need somebody to stand up and fight this in court, because the government are acting like a tyranny. It's not okay.
Yeah, it's very interesting what you say, and every word you've said there is in fact true, and I applaud your science behind the law.
But because the police don't seem to be prosecuting very many people, and the ones that they do prosecute seem to be the ones they're giving 10 grand fines to, that's limiting the chances of getting this through the legal process.
Well, and I'm
But
also
to the court-
curious. So the argument, I think, is going to be fascinating as we move forward. And I think if we look 3 years down the line, I want to see the books written about this period and how many mistakes have been made and how many continued mistakes continued to be made. I thank you for your call. Give your YouTube channel. I don't know what it is, but you seem a very intelligent guy to me. What's your YouTube channel?
I'm on YouTube as Sleeping Warrior, and I've covered the Liverpool protest this weekend whilst everybody was in London, and Liverpool went down peacefully. But that was because they'd spread everybody out to cover the 2 metre spread rule. But yeah, Sleeping Warrior. If anybody out there wants to talk human rights, look me up and get in touch.
All right. Thank you very much for your call. A great call.
Will I be famous? I can answer that. When will I see my picture in the paper? I can answer that.
Hi Anna, I messaged you on your recent video. I want to tell people of their human rights on this topic of COVID-19 and how they are being violated unlawfully. I'd like you to consider challenging me with my views and present a balanced and opposing view for your audience. I will even give you my leading arguments for you to research in advance if you like. There are no sucker punches. I'm transparent and honest with my argumentum, and I won't try and make you look daft. I will just present the argument, support it with the law, and encourage you to dissent to show how solid it is. I'm a 40-year-old self-employed ex-lawyer, and although I haven't worked in law since 2005, human rights was brought in 1998 and has not changed. We need to know about these rights and take them back. I am on the cusp of getting an interview with head of Silver Command in the Met Police, where I will present these same arguments to him. You can act as a checksum and dress rehearsal for me, so I can sharpen my sword. You interested? Kind regards, Tony Riley.
Hi, who's calling? Who's on the line?
Hi, pal, it's Sleeping Warrior from YouTube. We spoke on Sunday night about the human rights, and you then kindly re-upped the video. Do you remember?
Yeah, very, very, very interesting call. And, I mean, it's never been more relevant. I mean, again, I know we spoke Sunday night, but to see the story of the doctor who was arrested on Saturday after the protests.
Yeah. The reason why I've rang is to give you a compliment and then to give you a correction for something that you didn't quite get right, and then a comparison for you.
Go ahead.
Start with the compliment is basically you are absolutely bang on the money with regards to pointing out the human rights violation of the protesters, because if Black Lives Matter and White Lives Matter, protesters' lives matter as well, right?
Yep, 100%.
So you're bang on the money with that, and that really is the argument. A correction. In one of your latest videos, you said that Kelvin McKenzie was a very respected journalist. I'm going to correct that one, because he was the guy that in the Hillsborough disaster, he described the Scousers as urinating on the dead, attacking the police, and
I'm fully aware of that. The reason I did it is for my own legal protection.
And then by way of comparison, my third and final point, comparison. Anna Breeze is obviously somebody that's new on my radar.
I spoke to her on the phone today, actually.
Yeah, and she's been reporting on the same kind of things that you and I are both talking about right now with regards to the protesting. On one of her most recent videos, I asked her, could we have a conversation about the human rights? And she then deleted the video. It had about 100 likes at the time, and obviously when she then re-upped that video, them likes had gone. So I asked her, why did she remove the video? Do you not want to talk about the human rights of the protesters? And then she's removed the video again. So with regards to the comparison, you're bang on the money with this human rights issue. For some reason, Anna Breeze does not want to talk about
I know. I spoke to Anna for the first time today. She phoned me, and we had a long conversation. She's got a very, very interesting channel. She's a former BBC TV presenter, and I'm a former BBC radio presenter, and we had a very interesting discussion about the BBC, and we will be working together moving forward. There's very few former BBC people I would promote, but Anna Breeze is definitely one of them.
Well, I'd just like to point out that she did remove the video twice, and obviously would have brought up the issue for a second time. It was then removed again, so it's kind of, for me, it's kind of...
I know you've just told me that twice, but I don't know, and I can't answer you, but I will ask... Yes.
That's fine, but what I do want to do, if you don't mind, is I just want to plug the fact that you re-up that part of the video. It's a very good part of the video on human rights. And I've recently, just before you went live, I've just done a token gesture for yourself on my channel. I do hope you go and check it out after your show. It's done in your style, and I'm sure you'll find the compliment that it was intended. Have a really good evening, sir.
What's your channel?
Sleeping Warrior on YouTube. You can just put it in YouTube.
Fabulous. Thank you, sir. Thank you for your call. Keep in touch.
Alright, boys and girls. Different style to my videos in the style of Alex Belfield.
a channel I've come across recently in obviously a slight change in direction, whilst our government decides to destroy our civil liberties and freedoms that we've grown accustomed to since 1998. Shout out to the Europeans. Alex Belfield, I was on his channel recently. He does a live phone-in every Wednesday and Sunday at 9 PM. And basically you can ring in and you can basically have a phone-in with the guy. Do check out his video. You can see it there just behind my head with all the hands on it. He re-upped a part of the video where me and him were talking about the human rights, and it got 14,000 views. Currently it's on, 14,000. Shout out to the 700 new subs that I got recently for it. I appreciate that, Alex. Well done. Alex completely understands that we've got human rights. He completely understands that they're being eroded at the moment in the name of this corona flu. And the reality is, we can't do things anymore because our government tell us that we can't do them. Well, that isn't true, is it, Boris? Because when you put out laws, you can't just demand anything, because the laws themselves have got to be lawful. And they're not, are they, Boris? Because they're not proportionate. They're only affecting the people that are, or the coronavirus is only affecting the elderly and the infirm. Well, you can't legislate against everybody, Boris. It's got to be proportionate. And if the mask really does protect people from this coronavirus flu, then what's the problem if you're wearing your mask? You're protected. So you can't legislate against everybody's freedoms. And they would be the freedom of assembly and the freedom of expression, as demonstrated by the protesters recently in Hyde Park and in Trafalgar Square in central London, where the police went in and used Section 3 force against the protesters that were completely lawfully abiding by the legislation and protesting and expressing their opinions.
Doesn't matter. It's the Section 3 court. You're breaching the human rights. This is the Section 3 court of the criminal law. You're not allowed. Silver instructed us. The Section 3 court is in place.
You need to protect the people. You're violating the
You're
Human
now
Rights Act.
Now a violation of Section 7, Regulation 7.3 of the coronavirus regulations.
Alex Belfield completely gets this. However, we have a lady by the name of Anna Breeze. And Anna Breeze is an ex-BBC correspondent, probably around the same era as Alex, but nonetheless an ex-BBC correspondent. And she doesn't seem to be too bothered about dealing with the human rights issue, because I've challenged her twice on her most recent videos to have a conversation with me about the law. Doesn't seem to want to do it, yet 99 or 100 people or so liked my comment, and I sent a picture of the comment saying, can we talk about the law? Because the human rights thing is important. There are rights, and our fathers and our grandfathers and our great-grandfathers fought for them in a couple of world wars over the years. We're entitled to these rights. We're called humans. It's not just paedophiles that get human rights. It's not just migrants. It's protesters as well. Alex Belfield completely gets it. For some reason, Anna Breeze doesn't seem to get it. And it's not really okay, Anna, especially when you're claiming to be an independent journalist. Is it that human rights don't apply in Anna Breeze's world? Or are they just not important when it's protesters? Either way, Anna Breeze needs to knock it up a gear or two, because the real story, Anna, is to do with the human rights of the protesters. Because that's the whole problem with this COVID nonsense. We've got our rights too, not just paedophiles, not just migrants.
What a knobhead. Not much more I can say. So that was Riley trying to get himself famous, and deciding for some reason that poor Anna Breeze, one, he's entitled to be interviewed by her, and two, that somehow she's going to challenge his views. I don't know where he got this idea from. So it was all very weird.
Why is he obsessing about this lady Anna?
I know.
And how many times did he say that Alex gets it? He said it like 10 different times.
I know. He was just such a arse kisser, wasn't he? I mean, just... And like you say, why is he suddenly obsessed with her? I mean, he never heard of her before, and suddenly, you know, he wants her to challenge him on his views. I mean, nuts, I think.
Why do you make us watch him?
I don't know. I know it's probably a little bit bitchy, really, of me, isn't it? But
sadomasochism.
It was just so weird that he did that. And I've also recently discovered Anna Breeze's channel, and she seems like such a nice person, you know. And I mean, she hasn't had any interaction with Riley, apart, he's made comments, of course, and made this video, but she hasn't responded in any way. But I just kind of feel sorry for her that, like you say, he's suddenly become obsessed with her and somehow thinks he deserves to be on her channel. And he was almost saying that because she hasn't interviewed him, you know, she's taking away rights. You know, it was very odd, I thought. Just, Riley is fucking weird, isn't he?
These are human rights, Jim.
Yeah. Riley has a level of entitlement that you don't realize.
I think that's true, isn't it? Yeah.
He's claiming to be human, Jim. We don't have any evidence of that. What's your independent variable, Sleeping Warrior? Come on. Answer our questions.
Well, and I'm no expert on the subject, but I'd like to answer something that the dumbass asked in that video. And that is like, you know, if the masks prevent the spreading, then, you know, why are they worried about, you know, lockdown and people, you know, getting together and everything? And basically that whole thing, I mean, my take is it doesn't prevent. The masks are a means that are an attempt to help reduce transmission. Reduce, not prevent.
Right.
And that it being used in accompaniment with when you need to go out and be amongst other people because there are things you need to do.
Right.
Take this precaution when you do that.
Right.
But don't walk around willy-nilly, mask or no mask, acting like everything's fine and there's nothing to worry about.
Right.
It's going to take some time. And these knobheads are not helping at all.
No, I don't think they are. I
Well,
agree.
they're special cases. They wanted to be wined and dined before these laws came down and instructed them what to do, where they can go and where they can't go. But there wasn't enough time to wine and dine them and to get them to buy in, unfortunately.
Right.
The government should have done a better job kind of, you know, getting people prepped for this. You know, they knew this well in advance that, hey, if it gets really bad, we may have to go to this. And they should have been kind of preparing people for this worst kind of a situation. But no one did. None of the countries across this planet did that.
Right.
And it was a big failure on everyone's part.
I think our government, though, I think has sort of, you know, I don't think they've done a brilliant job of it at all. And now they seem to be just making up laws as they go along. There doesn't really seem to be any science backing some, you know, like the idea of shutting the pubs at 10 o'clock didn't really seem to make any sense. Sending the students back to university didn't make any sense.
They need an Uber pub. That's what they need. You need to be delivering drinks instead of cakes, Jim.
Yeah, that would work, yeah. Yes.
Keep the economy going.
Yeah. Well, I don't know what they're going to do here now. I don't know what the plan is, but presumably there's going to be more restrictions, you know. It's all to do with your social bubble is a phrase I think I keep hearing. That your bubble.
And I mean, you guys pay for all the healthcare dollars. You would think that everyone in Britain would be interested in minimizing the cost of this.
Right.
So that it doesn't come out of their own wallet.
Right. Ultimately, yeah. Although, you know, they built these huge, they called them Nightingale hospitals. You know, one of them was in London at the at this huge conference centre, you know, that's a kilometre long, this place. So they built this hospital and I think it treated 70 patients before they decided they better, I mean, they haven't wrapped it up. They've sort of mothballed it, I think.
Yeah, I mean, it's nice to have that sort of infrastructure in your back pocket if worse comes to worse.
I think it was 4,000 beds, I think it was. And I think they could make it 8,000 if they needed to.
And you know what? If they can get rid of this coronavirus, maybe they can use it to help indigent people who are homeless or something. Right. I mean, it could still be put to good use, but I guess at this time it's probably more prudent to keep it for sick people.
Right. Well, I mean, it's a conference centre, so normally it would have, you know, sales exhibitions and things like that.
Right.
On it, you know. Anyway, that's about it for this week. We've got a couple of hours, so I think we've earned our wage that we don't get. Well, I did get some wage, actually. I don't know where it happened to Kosho. That's a bit of a shame. And Chemo drifted off, but, I think we were kind of better off without him, really.
I thought Chemo was actually okay on the show.
Yeah, you can't shut him up. All right, I'll call it a day then. A great big thank you to everyone who has donated to my PayPal so far. If you can support the show, please follow the links in the description. And please, please, please subscribe to the channel. Join us again next week for more fabulous flatness. In the meantime, if you see something that you think should be included in the show, please post a timestamp link in the comments section of this video, or join our Discord server. The link is in the description, along with channel links for tonight's panel. Our Discord has over 2,000 members, and we managed to keep a conversation going virtually 24/7. We welcome members with opposing views, so click the link and join us. Thanks again to tonight's fabulous panel, and thanks to all of you for watching. We'll be back around the same time next week, so until then, please rate, comment, subscribe, and share this video. Have a great evening.
Stop talking about it and do something!
Suck my dick, Earth, with that bullshit.
Really?
It's like a gentle hate.
Do we have another benevolent star here? Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Are you benevolent? Is your friend?
My name is Logan Paul, and I think I'm coming out of the flat earth closet.
This is so fucking depressing. I can't be a flat earth person.
You can't have it both ways. You can't have a flat earth and things making sense.